Hey there, I thought I would just make another quick little video on the Bitcoin 4-year cycle and if we're still, going to see an all-time high this cycle. I was going to show you guys some different charts that I've been making on my website. It's not out yet, but I'm just developing it every single day. And so, yeah, so I think that a good way to look at the 4-year cycle is to sort of put into perspective in days. So you can see here in the 2013 bear market here, we hit this peak here of around 1200, and then exactly pretty much a year later, we hit that bear market bottom of around like 150 or so. And then next cycle, we saw the same thing, 364 days around a year before or after we saw that cycle bottom. And then in 2022, we saw that cycle bottom at 15K almost a year later. So what does this show us? It shows us that there's diminishing returns each cycle, and you can sort of see here that it's getting a little gray here. That I think that a lot of people are getting confused if this is cycle top yet, because we're sort of getting out into that 2025 late 2025. I think if we don't see a new all-time high then I think we could very well be in this time frame where we see the ROI go below one and into the negative and go below and see whatever price it goes down to. So quickly, if you take a look at the cycle bottom to cycle peak, you can see this first one was around 1,064 days. This next one was around right here, around as well 1,060 days or so. And then if we do the same thing for this one, we can see if we plot around 1,060 days from now, you can see that kind of gets you around the mid-October of 2025, and we're sort of getting into that Q4 of 2025. And I think that you can still see that all-time high, and it always comes down to the macroeconomic factors, in my opinion. I think that if the Fed can cut rates sooner rather than later, I think that we'll be able to see that peak around Q4 of 2025. But then again, you could always just see this lower high structure play out, and maybe we go back down. But if you look at the ROI of Bitcoin, the 1 year running ROI, you can sort of see that it kind of holds support around this one ratio. And it's kind of doing that right now, and you can see that's kind of rolling over recently. Now that we've hit this 94K level again, and I believe that if you take a horizontal line here and you sort of draw the support level, and you sort of show these lower highs and the breakout here, I think that as long as you can stay above the prior high in 2021 of around 69K, I think the cycle would still be intact. So I think if you sort of hit this lower high structure here and then sort of come back down here into this range, I still think that we could definitely see another all-time high this cycle, as long as it takes time is not on our side. As long as it takes that amount of time until the end of 2025, because then we're starting to get into that bear market territory that you see the 1 year ROI start to roll over there. And I think another really interesting chart to look at is the logarithmic regression trend line. And you can see that this whole cycle, we've sort of been in this range in the low value range. And all the other cycles before that, near 2021, we were already in that bubble territory. And that's when the ROI started to show some strength here, and then sort of top out like that blow off top we've seen before. I think this cycle is actually more difficult in the sense that we're not seeing that paranoia phase where we get just super overblown, super overheated, and you can sort of see that play out in the logarithmic regression trend line here. And I think the fact that we've been holding support around this fair value range, the green level, I think that's a good sign that the cycle is still intact because we've sort of held it here. I think another good way to look at it. So this is the moving averages, and the moving averages essentially just smooth out price action over time. You can see the underlying trend behind them. The simple moving averages weigh all the periods equally, so you add up all the prices in a given period and divide by the period number that you want to see, and then you get this range here. And the exponential moving averages give more weight to recent prices. So for my example here, I'm gonna use the EMA. So if you zoom in here, you can kind of see. So you can sort of see that during the 2021 cycle, we sort of held this. Sorry, we sort of held this 50-week EMA as support at this range here when we sort of got this 31K low here. And so we held it as support, and then we saw an all-time high that cycle, even though it was pretty hard to see that coming, honestly, but it happened. And then we sort of tested that support again and couldn't take it. So during the bear market year, we sort of rolled over. And now that we've seen it hold support all this time, I really think that you start seeing it roll over. Same thing that we're seeing in the ROI analysis. You start seeing that roll over here, and I do think that's a key level to look at. So I say if we go down a little bit, I think even if we go below it a little bit, I still think that you're gonna see it hold support nonetheless. But if we start to go out into 2026, then I really think it's less likely to see an all-time high cycle. So yeah, that covers that. Now I want to show you guys this new chart I've been working on for like a couple of weeks now, and we just had the death cross. So I'm gonna overlay the death cross here, and you can sort of see all throughout history, whenever we see a death cross, you sort of get that. Actually, you sort of see a low, and then when you get out into, let me actually put both of them. So you sort of see a low in the death cross, and then it actually pumps right after. So you can see here, we sort of saw a low and then we pumped right after. I think let me show it a little bit better actually, if I overlay the events here. So let's get the one before the most recent one, so I can just show you guys. So you sort of saw the death cross occur, and right into the death cross, we saw a little pump. And then after the death cross, around a month later, we saw a low of 52K, and we saw that right here. So you saw that low of 52K, and then lo and behold, we pumped into that 106 territory after getting the golden cross. And even then, we had to hold this level as support here, the 50-day SMA, or the 50-day MA. And one thing I like to do is sort of show the moving average spread. So if you think about the area under the curve of the 50-day versus the 200-day, so you see the difference between the lines here and that spread between them. So how extended they are apart from each other. I sort of like to normalize that into a 0 to 1 range, and then show that you see these peaks here. So it's a moving average, so it's gonna be delayed in the actual price. But you can sort of see that it corresponds to tops, and this you kind of see it corresponded here and here as well. So same thing that we're seeing with the ROI in the sense that it's rolling over here and holding a support at that level. I think you can say the same for this if you plot it out in this sense. So you can see that whenever we go below 0, that's essentially when the death crosses occur, because you're taking the distance between the two moving averages. So whenever it goes below 0, whenever it goes negative, that means you've essentially crossed two moving averages. So I think this is a cool way to look at the cycle. As long as we're holding these levels and we don't sort of go into these -30 territories, like those correspond to bear markets, I think if we hold this level here, I think you're gonna see the cycle still play out. So yeah, in general, I think that if Bitcoin can hold this level as support, and we keep in mind that we're still in this 1,000-day range, then I think we can still see the cycle pretty much. It would have to be quick because time's kind of moving against us right now. I think that if you see that pump into late 2025, then I think that would probably correspond to a cycle top. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. If you guys like this content and you want to see more, then be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll let you guys know when I'm done with this website. Thanks.